We continue to follow breaking news in St. Louis, where at least 4 people have died following severe storms. In St. Louis, North City and the Central West End were hit the hardest. St. Louis County, there is widespread damage in Clayton, Brentwood, and Richmond Heights. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson. St. Louis city leaders are going to update us at about 8:30. We will bring that to you live in about 15 minutes. But we've also just learned there is a 9 p.m. curfew in parts of the city until 6 a.m. Right now, we want to check in with 5 on your side's Brent Solomon. He is live in St. Louis at Page and Euclid. And Brent, you spoke with someone who lost their home.
I sure did, Kelly. More on that in just a second. First, I just want to tell you what we're witnessing, being on the ground, what we're seeing and hearing from people. Folks are hugging each other, coming together as community. At one point, my photojournalist, Maddie, was recording video when she heard a little girl tell her mom, "Mom, I want to go home." And the mom responded, "We don't have a home." That's what many people are dealing with here tonight, and not just homeowners, but so are business owners. Let me step out of the way. You might be familiar with this shopping plaza where the Dollar Tree is located here at Page and Euclid, not far from Kings Highway. And as we zoom in, you can see a significant portion of that plaza now destroyed from today's heavy storms. Let's continue over. Maddie is panning over the camera right now, and you can see a home once stood here, now leveled to the ground. We have some images that we captured a little earlier this evening when we went and spoke with the man who lives here. He told me he was at work at the time, and he kept getting phone calls saying, "Hey, you need to get home." He rushed us quickly as he could, although many roads were blocked, and what would have normally taken a 10-minute ride to get home took more like 40 minutes because of all of the traffic and people out sightseeing and really seeing the damage for themselves. That man got home to find that indeed what he was hearing is true. His home destroyed in the storm.
And come to find out, everything I have is gone. I have no feelings. I don't even really know how to think right now. Which way to go or whatever. Phone dead, everything. So it's kind of like unbelievable.
And let's go ahead and get you back alive. We'll go back to the images here. That home is a 2-family home, and I spoke with another gentleman who lives there, and he told me that he would normally be home asleep at the time because he works nights. Today was his first day of vacation, and at the moment when the storm hit, he happened to go run an errand. He left the house to go run an errand, and as soon as he got back, that home was leveled. This is a story for so many people tonight who are working to get through this devastation and now come to terms with their very new reality. That is the latest from St. Louis, where we're live tonight. Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
Some really heartbreaking stories, and at least 3 people were trapped after a church collapse. 1 of them died. This is at the Centennial Christian Church near Fountain Park in North St. Louis. We're still trying to learn more about who the victims are. And here's a live look at Kings Highway, where right now emergency crews are the only vehicles being allowed. St. Louis Children's Hospital ER received at least 15 patients, at least 1 in critical condition. Barnes Jewish has received 20 to 30 patients, some in critical condition, and most are expected to be released today. The Kings Highway closure is causing a lot of traffic issues. Drivers are finding themselves stuck in traffic around the Central West End and in North St. Louis. A drive that would normally take minutes is taking hours. And our other big story since this storm, Mark Maxwell in studio. You just got back from the scene in North St. Louis where a man named Garfield was trapped for 3+ hours.
No one had a closer call than Garfield today. We saw a lot of destruction there, of course, a lot of people grieving, but he was buried under 2 stories and tons of bricks. You see here the moment of elation and exuberance when his family starts to cheer. Several firefighters from St. Louis, from surrounding towns, even from Belleville, tried to get underneath all that rubble. Finally, they found the fastest way to him was from the top out. So they started lifting all that brick, iron, and rubble off of him. He's 45 years old. You see him there on the stretcher. We are showing you this video because we're told, the medic told his sister they think he's in pretty decent shape. That was a preliminary checkup. They're taking him to the hospital now, but he was under there inside of the pantry near his basement in the kitchen doing what he's told to do.
Right.
You're going to see him give the camera a thumbs up here in a moment, perhaps. Maybe we won't, but we did see him give a thumbs up as he was going into the ambulance, heading to the hospital. His family sat and talked to us just after that. Let's check in and see if we can play some of that interview with his family.
We feel blessed because after the tornado, you know, we come back with our mom's gone. Her house is gone, and just being able to pull our brother out.
Yeah, you were here. You're his sister.
Yes.
And Ashley, I just met you now, but I saw you over there waiting and watching. There were a lot of cheers at the end, but you didn't quite know if those cheers were going to come the whole time.
No, we weren't sure because he was so trapped deep underneath the rubble. He was up under 2 stories of house. So we didn't really know if he was going to be okay, and we were just really worried about him. And we're just relieved to know that he's alive. You know.
So are we. And Rayleigh, I don't even know what you must have been thinking watching firefighters and police wave after wave try to go in at the bottom, then go in at the top. What's going through your mind as you see all that?
I don't really know what to feel right now. I'm happy that he's okay, but I'm also really sad because I've lived in his house since I was, 5 months, and all my life. Me and my cousins, we grew up here, and it's just all the memories and stuff that I can't make anymore here, but I guess everything does happen for a reason.
Well, I just want you to know that there are so many of our viewers and people watching who have been really rooting for you guys all as a family, and that this community is going to wrap their arms around you guys and give some support. Rhea, do you have any idea or indication from the medics or from the first responders how your brother's doing right now?
So far, he's doing really good. He's on his way to the hospital now, so we'll be able to get some more information soon.
You guys have been real troopers, and I think that he had to really appreciate those cheers. I think you were the loudest maybe among those people cheering. I heard that, and I think I could see out of the corner of his eye that he really wanted to kind of look over and see you guys too. So I look forward to you guys giving him a hug soon. And thanks for staying with us and dealing with all this. This has been kind of a crazy day. You guys want to have any last thoughts here?
I want everybody to know that even though you think that this might never happen to you, you never do know. We never thought that this house would ever fall down. It's been up since the 1800s, and you never know what can happen. So just always take everything serious, no matter how little it is. Just take everything serious.
Yeah, tornado sirens go off here all the time. To be honest, we never listen to them. And like I told my mom when we showed up, she would have been in her bed. Her bed is right there. She would have been in her bed. She probably would not be alive right now. So just know, take these tornado sirens serious, and it can hit anybody. It can happen to anybody.
You hear them there. That you can feel them processing, Kelly, the grief, also the joy and relief from their family member being pulled out to safety. I can just tell you that if you get a chance to go out and help a neighbor this weekend, do it. These images that are just as striking on your screen, 10 times more so in person. And when you see them, when you feel the energy of the community coming together, the firefighters, the volunteers, the family, these are the moments when your neighbors come around and really wrap you in their arms and help out. And I know they're feeling that now. And it's just one of the lasting things that strikes you leaving a scene like that is we all are in this together.
Right, and St. Louisans, we always pull through for each other. And one other thing, the first responders and and how they had to painstakingly, through hour by hour, try to get him. it's amazing the work that they did.
And there was a sense of duty and almost frustration. They really knew they had to get in there, but they couldn't. Some people were asking, well, how come it's taking so long? If they were to move the wrong brick or the wrong thing at the wrong time, they could sacrifice the other part caving in and doing more damage. At times, things were so touch and go for Garfield. He was actually verbally communicating, no, don't step there, I'm under there. All the weight crushing down. So this was really touch and go. They did a fantastic job in a sensitive spot, pulling him to safety, and we hope that he's in the process of making a full and healthy recovery.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that report. We were all on the edge of our seats for that.
More
I'm glad it had a happy ending. All right, let's check in with meteorologist Jim Castillo, because Jim, I know it's probably not going to be until tomorrow until the National Weather Service can determine if there were tornadoes, one or more.
Correct, yes. And remember, we were at a level 4 out of 5 for being the severity of what we were expecting, from the hail to the potential of tornadoes. So, and again, a beautiful day today with lots of sunshine, and it got up to 87. And then we had all the ingredients to come together, and from 2 to 3 o'clock. This is that radar loop for 1 hour here, and it goes from Chesterfield through Clayton through the Central West End. And I want to stop it at about 2:46 p.m. And there is that hook right there. Here's Lindell Boulevard, here's University City, and there's Pine Lawn. So this entire area, the Central West End, here's BJC. So again, this area here is where we're likely to have seen a tornado, and the Weather Service will be out tomorrow with the survey teams. It might have started all the way back into Chesterfield, and then through Clayton, and then all the way into Granite City, as many friends there say that there's also a lot of damage still in that area. The great news is we are not seeing any more storms for the rest of the night, but boy, it is very stormy. Look at all that lightning and severe weather to our south and east tonight. And wanted to show you the storm as it rolled in again between about 2:46 p.m. 2:41, I think, is this 35-second clip. You can see that wind through Forest Park. This is Forest Park, and then watch right in this area. You'll see what we call a power flash, and that is either a tornado or even these strong winds taking down power lines, and you get this flash going on, and we'll just keep on watching it here as there it is. You saw that power flash right there. So again, that storm rolled in so quickly, a lot of lightning, a lot of wind, and the power outages continue. I'll end with this. St. Louis County, 42,000 still without power. This city, over 40,000 without power. Madison County, Illinois, 16.6, about 16,000 plus without power. Jeffco, 11,000 plus without power, and Macoupin County, Illinois, about 2,000, 3,000 without power. Yeah, it was a wild day there, Kelly.
It certainly was, and we are awaiting a news conference from city officials that should happen any moment, and once they start, we will definitely break in. Well, earlier, Justina Cornell was in the Central West End where major damage is left behind.
I'm Justina Cornell reporting in the Central West End. Right now I'm on Maryland Avenue showing you some of the damage we're seeing from today's storm. This is just one of the many trees uprooted from the ground, taking the cement sidewalk with it, falling onto the property here. And let's keep moving over here to show you just one of the many cars destroyed by trees. Actually, a tow truck driver is setting up right now to remove the car out of the way here. And as many people are dealing and assessing the damage and whatnot, city leaders are asking people to stay off the roads if you can, as there's so much debris on the ground, down power lines. We're seeing a lot of glass on the ground, so we want to make sure you're safe and be safe off the roads tonight.
High winds caused serious damage to an apartment building in St. Louis. Here is a look at some of the damage at the Del Mar Loop Apartments. That's at the Bolivar and Del Mar. You can see serious damage to the exterior of the building, and even windows were busted out. And the Bolivar Place neighborhood sustained serious damage when high winds moved in. Look at this video of the wind that they came in. This was taken at the Hudson apartment building. The outside of that complex was hit hard, as you can see. And just a couple of blocks over, streets off Pershing saw widespread damage. Take a look at these photos from an apartment on Clara Avenue. That's right off Pershing. And people who live there say the roof caved in. Now let's go to 5 on your side's Robert Townsend with a look at damage to the historic Harlem Tap Room in North St. Louis.
Here in North St. Louis, everybody is talking about the damage here at what used to be the Harlem Tap Room. This bar has been in this neighborhood for more than 60 years. Just after 2:30 this afternoon, neighbors are telling me strong winds blew through this area. One guy said, quote, it was clearly a tornado. He says the owner's brother was looking out the window at the time and he saw the tail of the funnel cloud whipping through this area. It ripped off the roof and the complete side of this building. Look at all those bricks you see that came tumbling down. People are saying the whole area just felt like it was flickering. Lights were flickering. The building was shaking. One guy said that the owner's brother stormed inside and just started yelling to everybody who was up front, get to the back, get to the back. Keith Bain, you were one of those persons inside. Tell us how frightening all that was.
Real frightening, because we didn't know if the tornado was going to come all the way to the back or not, because it came in the door, but it went back out.
And you were sitting up front?
Yeah, we was out. Most of us was sitting up front. And owner brother Pig, he told us when he came in, he said he seen the tornado form and everybody go to the back. So we all went to the back. And as soon as we got back there, it hit it and ripped the door open and came up in there and went back out. But it tore all that. You see what happened.
Another guy told me the lights just kept flickering. Mounted TVs came crashing.
At first, the lights started flickering. Then second time, everything went out. And the third time, that's when the tornado came in.
You okay physically?
Yeah, physically everybody okay, but I mean mentally, yeah, because that was real scary.
You're sitting on a traffic light that came crashing down during this storm.
Right.
Had you ever been through a storm like that?
Never. I ain't never seen nothing like that, except on TV, on the news. I never witnessed it in my life, and I'm 63 years old.
How thankful are you that you survived that?
Real thankful. Very thankful. I'm thankful that the guy told us to move to the back, because if he wasn't, I was sitting right there where the stuff came down in the lounge at. I was sitting right there.
Thanks a lot. I'm glad you're okay. And before I get out of here, I want to show you all that too. Look at all those bricks still all across the sidewalk there. Bricks also came crashing down on that car. But again, the good news, everybody is just so thankful that nobody was physically hurt, seriously hurt, when that storm blew through here. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Robert. Annie Kroll just got back from North St. Louis, where there was damage in the area that you were in,
Exactly,
including
Kelly.
a city bus.
Well, that's right, Kelly. It was this hard transportation area on Lee Avenue. It was backed up completely. There was so much traffic. Unfortunately, people decided to drive around it. I was not far from Redbud Avenue. And what ended up happening is it was a miracle there wasn't more accidents on the intersection just because there was so much traffic and down power lines. So I spent most of the afternoon on Lee Avenue near Athlon Avenue. The line of trees down across the area of North City had many of the one-ways blocked, so it was nearly impossible to get around in some spots, not to mention the down power lines we saw getting caught in people's tires because they kept driving under or even on top of them, which of course we recommend you do not do. Speaking of traumatic transportation, though, a Metro spokesperson told us there was a Metro bus on Lee Avenue near Redbud that got damaged. 8 people were on it, including Lakeisha Robinson, who we spoke with, who actually got cut up by the broken glass from the window of the bus. Thankfully, she said she was mostly okay, so didn't need to go to the hospital, but lives nearby and was terrified when the back of the bus got picked up by the wind.
That was my shield, and we was just praying to God, and God shielded us right along with the bus. Because if I would have got that bus, I probably would have been way over there somewhere. The way that, look, if it took a tree out the ground, I'm a $125 soaking wet. What you think it would have did to me?
What did you see?
The tornado. Saw the trees, the explosion of the power lines, everything, the trees blowing through the houses. It's a mess.
And Cedric Lacey, who I was able to speak with, he's lived in that area for close to 55 years, said he's never seen anything like this at all. He's out of power. Lots of people in North City are out of power. And so not only is it getting that power back, but it's also the cleanup, trying to get someone's car out of their driveway. I saw people using sticks trying to lift some of those power lines just to try and move their car that had windows blown out of it. So just a lot to do, Kelly, over the next couple days and, of course, next couple hours as things start to get much darker out there.
Yes, and that's the thing. You know, it did happen during the day, so
thankfully
people were able to get a good assessment,
see what was
especially
happening.
as you were talking about, because I did notice in your live shots that there were power lines on the street.
That's what was so frustrating for us, is as we would move around the live shots, we wanted to stay out of the way. We wanted to be around a power line. And one of the cars that I was speaking about, when the line got caught underneath the wheel, you saw the power line start to shake a little bit. So you got very nervous about where that was going to end up and if there wasn't more damage. So that was very much one of the challenging parts of all of this, is where was the safe place to go, because there was just so much widespread damage.
Did you notice more trees or just equally amount of trees damaged as also homes?
Oh, Kelly, it looked like a jungle gym out there. You saw every single tree down along Lee Avenue, and then you would go a little bit farther down, and it looked like someone was playing a knitting game with a bunch of power lines, and just the amount of wind and speed. And of course, we're going to hear from the National Weather Service a little bit later. If there was a tornado, what kind of tornado we're going to see, that's going to come in the next couple days.
Yeah, they're going to be out there probably.
But it was, as Mark just said, it was very much jarring to see in person.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and the power is out at most of the homes in North City, and the cleanup is going to be unbelievable. So, again, we are awaiting a news conference from city leaders. Holden Kowicki is there, so we're just standing by to get a better idea of how much damage was done throughout the city. We want to take you to Clayton, where heavy damage was visible in the Polo neighborhood of Clayton after dozens of old-growth trees were blown over onto houses, and even a car driving down South Hanley. Multiple fire crews were sent to the area after uprooted trees caused multiple gas leaks. Mike Jarvis and Susan Rain told our crew they were celebrating their 38th anniversary when they had to rush to the basement as the storm hit, and they didn't even know what to expect once they got out.
No one was hurt. That was my immediate reaction, is that everybody was okay.
I felt like I was in an apocalyptic scene. That may have been your reaction, but
yeah,
I had no idea, because we were in the basement, and then we came out, and all his family is visiting from out of town, and they can't get to our house.
And a reminder, we are tracking storm damage all around the St. Louis area, and 4 people have died from these storms, dozens taken to the hospital, and at least 3 people trapped after a church collapse. One of them died. This is at Centennial Christian Church near Fountain Park in North St. Louis. We are still trying to learn more about the victims, but once we do, we will definitely pass that on to you. Let's get more from meteorologist Jim Castillo. We were talking about this. We touched upon this a little earlier, but it has been quite a while since St. Louis has had a tornado.
Yes, it has.
And so it's
2013, I believe.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And a major one since the 1950s.
Right, and this is going to turn out major, and I'm sure we're going to likely from the Weather Service tomorrow morning see that there's damage from a tornado, whether that be an EF1 or as high as maybe an EF3. Scotty was talking maybe no more than an EF2, but again, that could go from around the Chesterfield area to Clayton to the Central West End to North City and maybe even to Granite City. We'll see where that path took it.
Yeah, and you guys had been talking about this for days, and it was just, you know, we started out the day, it was beautiful, it was sunny. It's just hard to kind of wrap your brain around how quickly it can change.
Sure, not a cloud in the sky. I was driving in and I said, why is it's even in my head, I thought a little bit later it's going to happen so fast. And it did. It happened so quickly. It just explodes across the area when all the ingredients come together perfectly. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, we are still awaiting word from our city leaders too. As you can see, the podium is empty. But I know they have a lot of information that they have to gather because there was just so much widespread damage and loss of life. So, you know, once we do see them, then we will carry the news conference.
Yeah, and many of us were affected. Even where I live in the Central West End, power was out. I think it just went back on. So I feel for the people that are still without power. You know, your stuff in your fridge begins to spoil at a certain point. And you know, I have dogs at home, and you're worried about them and what did they feel like when they heard the noises and the storms rolling in. So even I can't wait to get home and check up on neighbors and friends.
Yeah, and in St. Louis City, when you have a storm. I'm not going to say tornado yet, but when you have a storm like this, and we touched upon this, where the man who was rescued from his home, there are a lot of brick homes in St. Louis.
Right.
And old trees, older growth trees. And so to see those trees,
beautiful trees,
so uprooted was
old 100-year-old plus trees.
Right.
Even Forest Park, the damage through there, I wouldn't doubt that was the path of the tornado for sure.
Yeah. And Central West End, some of the other neighborhoods, North City, that really got hit, and
the Ville area,
even some outlying areas in the county too.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Even it might have started in Chesterfield and then the Clayton area for sure. And that's probably where they're going to start tomorrow. The Weather Service has a lot to do tomorrow morning.
I think, hey, Sheila, our producer Sheila, Megan Kernan had a story too that we can possibly talk about too. I know we're still awaiting city officials, but we just had reporters everywhere, and it's just kind of probably overwhelming for emergency crews also to all of this cleanup. You know, it's just because it is so widespread.
Well, even getting home tonight, we're worried, aren't we, about how hard is that going to be to get back home, and what roads still have trees covering them. You know.
Yeah.
Lots.